Ever feel like your brain is a battlefield? Like Maya, holed up in her New York City apartment, trying to focus on a critical project, but her mind is a relentless firefight. Work emails explode like incoming mortars. Social media notifications from friends living it up in LA strafe her attention. News alerts drop like bombs, each one demanding immediate surrender of her focus. The result? Overwhelm. Paralysis. That critical project? Lost in the smoke and chaos. If Maya's mental war zone sounds anything like your daily internal experience, you're not alone, and more importantly, you're in the right place. In this relentless digital age where information flies at us faster than we can process and our attention is the most sought-after currency, thinking clearly isn't just a nice-to-have skill, it's a superpower. It's the difference between being a casualty of modern life's information war and becoming a calm, centered commander of your own mind. But how do you achieve this clarity amidst the constant barrage? The answer, surprisingly, lies in ancient wisdom. The Stoics, philosophers who navigated their own turbulent times in ancient Greece and Rome, were masters of mental fortitude. Think of figures like Marcus Aurelius, an emperor who found tranquility while ruling a vast empire, or Seneca, a statesman who wrote profound letters on wisdom amidst political turmoil, or Epictetus, a former slave who taught that true freedom comes from within. They didn't have smartphones, but they understood the human mind and its susceptibility to distraction and distress. They understood the internal war zone. And they left us a powerful arsenal of strategies, not just to survive it, but to find peace and purpose within it. This isn't just another philosophy lesson. This is a practical guide, a series of transformative lessons forged in the crucible of real-world challenges tailored for you right now. If you're tired of being mentally hijacked, of feeling overwhelmed and scattered, then these Stoic insights are your reinforcements. For those of you who truly dare to transform your mindset, I have a challenge. Engage with these ideas, don't just passively consume them. Prove to yourself that you're committed to clarity and growth by staying with us, by applying what you learn. Are you ready to trade the mental battlefield for a state of clear, focused calm? Are you ready to challenge the status quo of your mind? If you're new here and ready to embark on this journey, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell, because we're not just about passing through life, we're about understanding it, shaping it, and thriving in it. Together, we'll explore how these ancient thinkers can help us win the war within. If Maya's mental chaos sounds familiar, take heart. The ancient Stoics faced their own war zones and left us a roadmap. Let's explore the first step to finding peace, the first secret to quieting that internal noise and starting to think clearly. Lesson 1. Find calm, the Stoic secret to inner peace in a busy world. In our hyper-connected, relentlessly buzzing modern existence, finding a moment of genuine quiet, a true pocket of inner calm, can feel less like a simple practice and more like an archaeological expedition. We're digging through layers of digital notifications, sedimentary deposits of emails demanding instant replies, and the fossil record of yesterday's worries carried into today. The endless scroll on social media acts like a siren, luring our attention onto the rocks of comparison and distraction. Our minds, far from being serene temples of thought, often resemble Grand Central Station at rush hour, loud, chaotic, with 1,000 destinations pulling us in every conceivable direction. It's no wonder so many feel chronically overwhelmed, mentally fatigued, and constantly reacting rather than choosing. The first Stoic secret to reclaiming your mind and learning to think clearly is foundational, yet profoundly transformative. You must actively cultivate stillness. You need to discover and regularly return to your inner anchor. Now, when I say stillness, let's be clear. This isn't about suddenly adopting a monastic lifestyle or needing to meditate on a mountaintop for hours, though if that calls to you, fantastic. For most of us, navigating jobs, families, and city living, it's about strategically weaving moments of intentional pause, conscious breathing, and self-centering into our everyday lives. Think of David, a software engineer in Chicago. His daily commute on the L train could easily be a prime opportunity to get a head start on the digital deluge, checking early emails, scanning headlines, mentally prepping for meetings. Instead, he often makes a conscious choice. He tucks his phone away, perhaps closes his eyes, or sometimes just softens his gaze, and for 10, maybe 15 minutes, he focuses on the simple, vital rhythm of his breath. Inhale. Exhale. He's not trying to stop his thoughts, an often fruitless endeavor. He's observing them like clouds drifting across the sky of his awareness without latching onto them. He's creating a small, portable sanctuary of stillness amidst the clatter of the train and the mental pregame of a demanding workday. He arrives not with his mind already sprinting, but with a sense of being grounded, more present, more focused. This small act is his anchor. This very practice echoes the wisdom of one of history's most renowned Stoic philosophers, Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius. Imagine the pressures he faced: wars, plagues, political intrigue, governing a vast empire. Yet, in his personal meditations he wrote, "Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul." Take a moment to let that sink in. Not in a lavish palace, not in a distant land, not even with trusted advisors, but in his own soul. This is a radical reorientation for many, conditioned as we are to seek peace externally, through achievements, possessions, or the next dopamine hit from our devices. Marcus Aurelius reminds us that the ultimate sanctuary, the bedrock of tranquility, is an internal landscape we all possess. We don't need to book a flight or win the lottery to access it. We simply need to learn to turn inwards, to intentionally disengage from external clamor and tune into the quieter frequency within. So, how do we begin to excavate this inner retreat? It starts by recognizing that even micro moments of stillness can accumulate into significant shifts in our mental state. For many, our days feel like a relentless sprint from alarm to pillow. But what if, before looking at your phone in the morning, you dedicated just 3 to 5 minutes to sit quietly, perhaps with coffee, and just be? No agenda, no problem solving, just a gentle awareness of your breath, the sounds around you, the feeling of being present. Or consider your lunch break. Instead of scrolling social media while eating, could you step away from your desk, perhaps find a bench outside or a quiet corner, and eat mindfully, savoring the food, giving your brain a genuine pause? Even transition times, waiting in line, the commute, moments before a meeting, can be reclaimed as opportunities for brief, centering stillness. It's crucial to understand this practice isn't escaping reality. It's not sticking your head in the sand, ignoring problems or responsibilities. Quite the opposite. It's about grounding ourselves more deeply in reality, but from a place of centeredness rather than reactivity. Think of a tree in a storm. Branches may sway, but if roots are deep and strong, the tree remains. Stillness provides those deep roots for our minds. It allows us to weather life's inevitable storms with greater stability and less damage. Stillness is not an action, it's a profoundly active state of alert relaxation and focused intention. It's not about emptiness or boredom, though those feelings might arise if we're unaccustomed to quiet. It's a deliberate, courageous choice to step off the hamster wheel of constant doing and simply be. Like an athlete visualizing perfect performance before competition, this inner stillness allows us to gather mental and emotional resources. In these quiet pauses, insights often arise, creative solutions surface, and we can untangle knots of thoughts and emotions. The benefits are manifold, anecdotally and increasingly by science. Regularly seeking stillness can lead to better decisions. Not operating from frazzled reactivity, we access rational, thoughtful cognitive functions, creating space between stimulus and response. Improved emotional understanding and regulation. Stillness allows observing emotions without being swept away. We learn to recognize triggers and their transient nature, allowing measured responses. Enhanced focus and concentration. In a world training brains for distraction, stillness practice is like taking your attention span to the gym, strengthening concentration. Reduced stress and anxiety. Activating the parasympathetic nervous system. Rest and digest. Stillness can lower cortisol and promote calm. Greater self-awareness. When external noise quiets, we hear subtle whispers of intuition, values, true needs. Perhaps you're thinking, I don't have time. Or, it sounds boring. Common resistances. The Stoics would likely remind us we make time for what we value. If mental clarity, peace, and effective action are valuable, then carving out minutes for stillness is a wise investment, not a luxury. As for boredom, it often arises when confronted with ourselves without usual distractions. This discomfort can be a gateway to deeper self-understanding. This practice isn't about achieving perfect Zen enlightenment overnight. It's about consistent, gentle effort. Some days, your mind will be a turbulent ocean during stillness practice. Other days, surprisingly calm. The goal isn't to force calmness, but to create conditions for it, to show up for your inner retreat regularly. So, the invitation today is to begin. Identify 1 or 2 small pockets in your day for conscious stillness. Maybe waiting for the kettle. Maybe 3 deep breaths before a stressful email. Maybe a mindful walk, paying attention to sensations without judgment. Start small, be consistent, be patient. This cultivation of inner stillness, this ability to find your anchor, is fertile ground from which all other clear thinking aspects grow. It's the essential first step on our Stoic path to mastering the mind. Once you've started to find and regularly visit that inner anchor, that quiet space where you can hear yourself think, like David on his commute, the next crucial step in our Stoic journey to clear thinking involves looking squarely at the content of those thoughts. Because, as we'll soon discover, it's often not reality itself, but our own unexamined ideas, beliefs, and assumptions about it that truly weigh us down and cloud our judgment. Lesson 2. Stop believing lies, a Stoic guide to challenging your thoughts. Alright, so you've begun to carve out those precious moments of stillness, finding your inner anchor like David on his Chicago commute. That's a massive first step. But what happens when, even in that quiet space, your mind is still a noisy neighborhood filled with nagging doubts, persistent fears, and beliefs about yourself and the world that just don't feel right, or worse, actively hold you back? This brings us to our second crucial Stoic lesson for thinking clearly. You must be willing to question your assumptions. Or, to put it more bluntly, you need to learn to stop believing the lies your own mind sometimes tells you. We all carry around a mental backpack stuffed with assumptions, beliefs, and biases. Some were packed by our upbringing, some by our past experiences, good and bad, and some by the culture and society we swim in. Many of these beliefs serve us well, helping us navigate the world efficiently. But others? Others are like outdated maps, leading us astray, causing unnecessary anxiety, or limiting our potential. Just because a belief has been with us for a long time, perhaps since childhood, doesn't automatically make it true or helpful now. And this is where the Stoics urge us to become courageous internal interrogators. Consider Maria, a dynamic startup founder in Austin, Texas. She's smart, driven, and passionate about her company. Yet she lives with a persistent undercurrent of anxiety. If an investor sends a brief, neutral email, her mind immediately jumps to the worst-case scenario. They're unhappy with our progress. They're going to pull funding. I'm failing. This assumption, born from a fear of not being good enough and perhaps a past business setback, clouds her judgment. It sours her interactions, makes her overly defensive, and drains her creative energy. She's reacting not to the email itself, but to the terrifying story her mind has constructed around it. The Stoic philosopher Seneca hit the nail on the head centuries ago when he wisely noted, "We are more often frightened than hurt, and we suffer more from imagination than from reality." Think about that. How much of our daily distress, our anxiety, our frustration stems not from actual, concrete events, but from the catastrophic scenarios we imagine, the negative interpretations we layer onto neutral facts, the limiting beliefs we hold about our capabilities or what others think of us. Maria's suffering wasn't caused by the investor's email, but by her imagination of what it signified. To think clearly, we must cultivate the habit of challenging these internal narratives. This isn't about becoming a relentless cynic or doubting everything to the point of paralysis. It's about fostering a healthy skepticism towards our own automatic thoughts, especially those that trigger strong negative emotions. It's about becoming curious, like a detective examining clues, asking, "Is this thought 100% true? What evidence do I have for it? What evidence contradicts it? Is there another way to look at this situation? What would I tell a friend who had this thought?" Maria, with practice, could learn to catch that initial wave of panic when she reads a brief email. Instead of letting it sweep her away, she could pause, remember that stillness we talked about, and then actively question her assumption. "Okay, my mind is telling me this means disaster. What's the actual content of the email? It asks for a Q3 projection update. Is that inherently negative? No. Could there be other reasons for its brevity? Yes, the investor is busy. Have they expressed explicit dissatisfaction recently? No, our last review was positive." By engaging in this kind of internal dialogue, Maria starts to separate her imaginative fears from observable reality. She begins to see that her initial assumption was a story, not necessarily a fact. This process of questioning our assumptions requires intellectual humility, the willingness to admit that we might be wrong, that our ingrained beliefs might be flawed. It's easy and comfortable to stay nestled in our familiar thought patterns, even if they make us miserable. It takes courage to step outside them and consider alternative perspectives. This means actively seeking out new information, listening to viewpoints that differ from our own, more on active listening later, and being genuinely willing to change our minds when confronted with compelling evidence. True clarity doesn't come from rigidly clinging to what we've always believed or what everyone else seems to believe. It comes from a dynamic, ongoing willingness to see the world as it is, not just as we assume, fear, or wish it to be. Think about common limiting beliefs people carry. "I'm not smart enough to pursue that career. I'll never find a good relationship. People will judge me if I try something new and fail. I'm too old to learn that skill." These are often assumptions masquerading as immutable truths. A Stoic approach would challenge each one. What's the evidence for not smart enough? Are there different kinds of intelligence? What small steps could be taken to learn or grow in that area? Is it a fact that no one finds good relationships, or is that an overgeneralization based on limited experience or fear? What if people judge? Can I control their judgment or only my response to it? And who decided on an age limit for learning? By regularly and rigorously questioning our assumptions, especially the negative and limiting ones, we can begin to dismantle the mental prisons they create. We free up enormous amounts of mental energy that was previously consumed by worry and rumination. We open ourselves to new possibilities, new actions, and new ways of experiencing the world. It's like cleaning a dirty window. Once the grime of unexamined assumptions is wiped away, the light comes in and we see everything with fresh, clear eyes. This isn't a one-time fix, it's an ongoing practice, a commitment to mental hygiene. Each time you catch a fear-based assumption and challenge it with reason, you weaken its power and strengthen your ability to think clearly. Maria in Austin, by learning the Stoic art of self-interrogation, doesn't magically stop having occasional anxious thoughts. But she develops the skill to recognize them as thoughts, not commands or prophecies. She learns to put them on trial, to cross-examine them, and often to dismiss them for lack of evidence. This empowers her to lead her startup with more confidence, to communicate more effectively, and to enjoy her successes without the constant shadow of imagined failure. Challenging your thoughts, as Maria learned to do, is incredibly powerful for clearing the internal fog. But what about the things in life that are genuinely difficult, the things that aren't just figments of our imagination? What about external circumstances that truly are outside our control? That's where the Stoics offer another game-changing perspective, a key to unlocking an even deeper level of mental peace and resilience. Lesson 3. Control your reactions, the Stoic key to unshakable peace. So, we've explored the power of finding inner stillness, that essential calm anchor in the storm of modern life. And we've delved into the critical practice of questioning our assumptions, of challenging those internal narratives that often distort our reality and create unnecessary suffering, like Maria learning to dissect her fears about her Austin startup. These are foundational skills for clear thinking. But now we arrive at what is arguably the cornerstone of practical Stoic philosophy, a principle so powerful that mastering it can radically transform your experience of life, focusing on what you can control and learning to accept what you cannot. More specifically, understanding that while you can't always control what happens to you, you always control how you respond. This is the Stoic key to unlocking a truly resilient, unshakable peace. The world is a vast, complex, and often wildly unpredictable place. Traffic jams materialize when you're already late. The economy takes a nosedive just as you were planning a big investment. People say unkind things. Illnesses strike without warning. Projects at work get derailed by unforeseen obstacles. If our inner peace and clarity depend on everything going smoothly, on everyone behaving as we wish, on circumstances always aligning with our desires, then we are setting ourselves up for a life of constant frustration, anxiety, and disappointment. Because, let's face it, life rarely cooperates fully with our meticulously laid plans. This is where the wisdom of Epictetus, a Stoic teacher who himself endured slavery before becoming a renowned philosopher, shines with particular brilliance. He taught, we cannot choose our external circumstances, but we can always choose how we respond to them. This single idea, often called the dichotomy of control, is revolutionary. It draws a clear line in the sand. On one side are things outside our direct control, other people's actions, the weather, past events, the future, global pandemics, our natural hair color, etc. And on the other side are things within our direct control, our thoughts, our judgments, our choices, our actions, our reactions, our attitude, our will. The Stoic insight is that a vast amount of human suffering arises from confusing these two categories, from trying to control what we can't, and from neglecting to exert control over what we can. Think about it. How much mental energy do we waste fuming about the traffic, agonizing over what someone else thinks of us, or wishing a past mistake hadn't happened? These are all battles fought on uncontrollable terrain, and they are exhausting and unwinnable. Consider Jamal, a dedicated teacher in Atlanta. He's in the middle of a parent-teacher conference explaining a student's progress when the parent suddenly becomes unexpectedly aggressive, raising their voice, making unfounded accusations. Jamal's initial visceral urge might be to get defensive, to raise his own voice, to argue back point for point. That's a natural human reaction. But Jamal has been practicing Stoic principles. In that split second, he recognizes, I cannot control this parent's anger or their accusations. That is external to me, but I can control my response. I can choose to remain calm. I can choose to listen respectfully even if I disagree. I can choose to respond professionally. Instead of adding fuel to the fire, Jamal takes a quiet breath. Remember that stillness, maintains eye contact, and says calmly, I understand you're upset and I want to hear your concerns. Let's try to work through this together. He doesn't internalize the aggression as a personal attack. He sees it as the parent's currently uncontrolled reaction. By focusing on what he could control, his words, his tone, his demeanor, Jamal manages not only to de-escalate the situation but also to maintain his own inner composure and professionalism. He didn't win an argument, he won a much more important victory over his own reactivity. He chose peace and clarity over conflict and agitation. This is not about being passive or a doormat. It's not about suppressing emotions. It's about choosing a wise and effective response rather than an impulsive, emotion-driven one. It's about recognizing where your true power lies. When we pour our energy into trying to change things outside our control, we feel powerless, frustrated, and victimized. But when we redirect that same energy towards mastering our own inner world, our judgments, our attitudes, our actions, we tap into an immense source of personal agency and strength. In our modern world, it's incredibly easy to get overwhelmed by the sheer volume of information, events, and global challenges that seem far beyond our individual influence. The 24/7 news cycle often highlights problems we can't personally solve, leading to feelings of anxiety and helplessness. The Stoic approach doesn't mean ignoring these realities. It means discerning, okay, this is happening. What, if anything, is within my control regarding this situation? Perhaps I can't stop a war on the other side of the world, but I can control whether I donate to humanitarian aid. I can control whether I treat the people around me with kindness and respect. I can control whether I educate myself on the issues. By narrowing our focus to our own sphere of influence, however small it may seem, we reclaim a sense of purpose and effectiveness. This practice helps us avoid the debilitating trap of feeling like victims of circumstance. It empowers us to move forward with intention and grace even when the external world is turbulent. It allows us to conserve our precious mental and emotional resources for where they can actually make a difference. Imagine the clarity that comes from letting go of the burden of things you cannot change. It's like dropping a heavy backpack you didn't even realize you were carrying. So, how do you actively cultivate this focus? Identify. When faced with a challenging situation, consciously ask yourself, what aspects of this are truly within my control? What aspects are outside my control? Make a mental, or even written, list. Practice radical acceptance of those things outside your control. This doesn't mean you like them or approve of them, but you acknowledge their reality without wasting energy resisting what is. Act. Channel your energy and effort exclusively into the aspects you can control, your thoughts, your efforts, your responses. Jamal's ability to manage his reaction during that tense parent-teacher conference highlights this core Stoic truth beautifully. He didn't try to control the parent, he controlled himself. And in doing so, he not only preserved his peace but also created the best possible conditions for a constructive outcome. This shift in focus, from external to internal, is a hallmark of Stoic wisdom and a direct path to a clearer, more resilient mind. And just as controlling our reactions brings profound peace, so too does simplifying our lives and our minds, stripping away the unnecessary clutter that often obscures what truly matters. Lesson 4. Declutter your mind. Stoic simplicity for real happiness. We've journeyed through the vital Stoic practices of cultivating inner stillness, bravely questioning our often misleading assumptions, and mastering the art of focusing on what we can control, our reactions, our choices, our attitudes. Each of these lessons chips away at the mental fog, allowing for greater clarity. Now, we arrive at a fourth powerful Stoic principle, one that feels particularly relevant in our age of overwhelming choice and information saturation: the pursuit of simplicity. To think clearly, we must learn to simplify, to declutter our thoughts, our environments, our commitments, and our decisions, focusing on what truly nourishes our soul and contributes to a well-lived life. This isn't about deprivation, it's about liberation. If you've made it this far into our exploration, you are truly different. In a world that often encourages skimming, superficial engagement, and chasing the next shiny object, you're here, diving deep, actively seeking wisdom. That commitment to depth is, in itself, a move towards a simpler, more focused way of engaging with information. Hold on to that. The modern world often feels like an all-you-can-eat buffet with infinite options, but instead of satisfaction, it frequently leads to a kind of mental indigestion. We have endless choices for what to watch, what to buy, who to follow online, what career path to take, how to spend our precious free time. Our minds are constantly pulled in a million directions, bombarded by advertisements promising happiness through acquisition and social media feeds curating highlight reels that can make our own lives feel lacking. The result? A cluttered mind, decision fatigue, and a sense of being perpetually overwhelmed and vaguely dissatisfied. The Stoics, living in their own complex times, understood this human tendency towards overcomplication. Marcus Aurelius, the emperor who juggled immense responsibilities, captured the essence of this wisdom beautifully when he wrote, "Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking." This is a profound statement. It challenges the pervasive modern myth that happiness is contingent upon external acquisitions, achievements, or circumstances. Instead, Aurelius and Stoicism in general point us inward. Simplicity, in the Stoic sense, isn't necessarily about extreme minimalism, though decluttering physical possessions can certainly be a part of it. More fundamentally, it's about simplifying our way of thinking, our desires, and our priorities. It's about consciously choosing to remove the unnecessary, to focus on what truly matters, and to find clarity amidst the pervasive noise. Consider Sarah, a high-flying marketing executive in Los Angeles. Her calendar is a chaotic tapestry of back-to-back meetings, client dinners, industry events, and a flurry of social commitments she feels obligated to attend. Her apartment, though stylish, is filled with things she rarely uses, bought on impulse. Her mind mirrors this external clutter, constantly racing, juggling a dozen projects, worrying about her image, and feeling a persistent, low-grade anxiety despite her outward success. She's technically living the dream, but feels more stressed than joyful. Applying Stoic simplicity, Sarah could begin a process of intentional decluttering, both externally and internally. Externally, she might go through her commitments and possessions, asking of each, does this truly add value to my life? Does it align with my core principles? Does it contribute to my peace of mind or my most important goals? She might realize that many of her social engagements are driven by a fear of missing out, FOMO, rather than genuine connection. She might identify projects at work that, while seemingly urgent, aren't actually moving the needle on her key objectives. She could start saying no more often, a powerful act of simplification, to things that drain her energy without providing real fulfillment. Internally, Sarah could simplify her thoughts by focusing on her core values and her most significant goals. Instead of trying to be everything to everyone and achieve 100 different things, she might identify her top 3 priorities for the next quarter or even the year. This clarity of purpose acts like a filter, helping her to sift through the noise and make decisions more easily. She would learn to distinguish between the trivial many and the vital few. This doesn't mean her life becomes boring or devoid of ambition. It means her ambition becomes more focused, her energy more purposefully directed, and her mind less cluttered with the debris of non-essential concerns. The result for Sarah would likely be a significant reduction in stress, an increase in genuine productivity on what matters, and, paradoxically, a greater sense of richness and meaning in her life. Seeking simplicity is about a conscious trade-off, exchanging the anxiety of too much for the peace of enough. It's about quality over quantity, depth over breadth in many areas of life. How can we cultivate this in practical terms? Declutter your physical space. A cluttered environment often contributes to a cluttered mind. Regularly clearing out things you don't need or love can create a surprising sense of mental lightness. Streamline your commitments. Audit your schedule. Are you overcommit? Learn to politely decline invitations or requests that don't align with your priorities or genuinely energize you. Protect your time and energy. Simplify your information diet. Be mindful of what news, social media, and entertainment you consume. Is it nourishing you or just adding to the mental noise and anxiety? Curate your inputs. Focus on single tasking. In a world that glorifies multitasking, try to focus on one thing at a time. This improves the quality of your work and reduces mental fragmentation. Clarify your values and goals. Knowing what truly matters to you provides a compass for making simpler, more aligned decisions. If you know your destination, it's easier to ignore distracting detours. Practice gratitude for what you have. Simplicity is often about appreciating the abundance already present in your life, rather than constantly striving for more. The Stoic path of simplicity isn't about deprivation for its own sake. It's about making space in our homes, in our schedules, and most importantly, in our minds, for what is truly essential for a flourishing, tranquil life. It's about understanding that true wealth isn't measured by how much we have, but by how little we need to be content. By regularly evaluating what's truly important and consciously letting go of the rest, we can navigate the complexities of modern life with far greater ease, focus, and clarity. This, the Stoics teach, is a direct route to a more serene and genuinely happy existence. Sarah's journey in Los Angeles towards simplifying her life by focusing her energy and decluttering her commitments powerfully illustrates how less can indeed become profoundly more. This ability to discern the essential and simplify our focus often springs from a deeper belief, the belief that we are not fixed entities, but beings capable of continuous learning and improvement. This brings us to another vital Stoic perspective, the incredible power of cultivating a growth mindset. Lesson 5, Never Stop Growing, the Stoic mindset for lifelong learning. We've navigated some deep Stoic waters together, finding that calm inner anchor, challenging the lies our minds can tell us, mastering our reactions by focusing on what's truly in our control, and decluttering our lives and minds through the power of simplicity. Each of these practices helps us to think more clearly and live more wisely. But underlying all of them and essential for their sustained application is a fifth Stoic lesson, the profound importance of cultivating a growth mindset. To truly think clearly over the long haul, we must believe in our fundamental ability to grow, to learn, to adapt, and to continuously improve, no matter our age or circumstances. A growth mindset, a term popularized by psychologist Carol Dweck, stands in contrast to a fixed mindset. Someone with a fixed mindset tends to believe that their core qualities, like intelligence or talent, are simply fixed traits. They believe you're either born smart or you're not, good at something or you're not. As a result, they may avoid challenges for fear of revealing inadequacy, give up easily when faced with obstacles, see effort as fruitless, ignore useful negative feedback, and feel threatened by the success of others. Their primary concern is often looking smart or talented rather than actually becoming more capable. Conversely, someone with a growth mindset believes that their abilities and intelligence can be developed through dedication, hard work, good strategies, and input from others. They embrace challenges as opportunities to grow, persist in the face of setbacks, seeing them as part of the learning process, believe that effort is the path to mastery, learn from criticism, and find lessons and inspiration in the success of others. Their focus is on learning and self-improvement, not on proving they're already perfect. The Stoics were proponents of a growth mindset long before the term was coined. They viewed philosophy not as a dry academic subject but as a lifelong practice of self-cultivation, a continuous striving towards wisdom and virtue. They understood that becoming a better, wiser, more resilient human being wasn't a destination you arrived at, but a journey you were always on. The Stoic philosopher Seneca, a man of immense learning and experience, encapsulated this perfectly when he said, "As long as you live, keep learning how to live." This isn't just a quaint aphorism, it's a powerful directive for life. It implies that life itself is the classroom, and every experience, every interaction, every challenge is a potential lesson. Consider Kevin, a gentleman in Miami who recently retired from a long career in logistics. He could easily have settled into a comfortable routine of relaxation, perhaps feeling that his learning days were largely behind him. Many in his position might adopt a fixed mindset about new skills, thinking, "I'm too old to learn that," or "technology is for the younger generation." But Kevin, inspired by a desire to stay mentally agile and connect with his grandkids on their terms, decided to tackle something completely new, learning coding through an online course. Initially, it was incredibly challenging. The logic felt alien, the syntax confusing, and he made countless errors. A fixed mindset might have led him to conclude, "See? I'm just not cut out for this. I'm not a tech person." He might have given up, frustrated and disheartened. But Kevin, consciously or unconsciously, approached it with a growth mindset. He saw the struggle not as proof of his inadequacy, but as an inherent part of learning something complex. Each error message wasn't a judgment, but feedback, an opportunity to understand what went wrong and how to fix it. He sought help from online forums, watched tutorial videos multiple times, and celebrated small victories, like making his first simple program print, "Hello, world." He persevered, understanding that effort and persistence were key. Eventually, Kevin not only grasped the fundamentals but went on to build a simple app to share family photos. His success wasn't due to some innate coding genius, but to his belief in his capacity to learn and his willingness to put in the work. In our modern world, it's easy to feel stuck or limited by our circumstances, our past failures, or the labels society might place on us. A fixed mindset internalizes these limitations. A growth mindset, however, sees them as starting points, as challenges to be creatively addressed. It reframes failure not as a verdict on our worth, but as an essential stepping stone to success. Fail becomes first attempt in learning. Mistakes are not reasons to quit, but valuable data points that guide future efforts. Setbacks are not roadblocks, but detours that might reveal new paths or strengthen our resolve. Cultivating a growth mindset has a direct impact on our ability to think clearly. It opens us to new information. If we believe we can grow, we're more receptive to learning, more curious, and less defensive when encountering ideas that challenge our current understanding. It enhances problem solving. Instead of shying away from difficult problems, a growth mindset sees them as puzzles to be solved, encouraging persistence and creative thinking. It builds resilience. When we view setbacks as learning opportunities, we bounce back more quickly and with greater determination. This mental toughness is crucial for clear thinking under pressure. It reduces the fear of judgment. If our focus is on learning rather than on appearing perfect, we're less inhibited by what others might think, freeing us to experiment and take intellectual risks. It fosters a love of learning. This makes the process of acquiring knowledge and skills enjoyable and sustainable over a lifetime. The Stoics believed that virtue, which encompasses wisdom, justice, courage, and temperance, is the sole good, and that it requires constant effort and self-improvement. The ideal Stoic sage was a work in progress, always striving, always learning, always refining their character and understanding. They didn't expect perfection, but they demanded progress. This is the essence of a growth mindset applied to the art of living. So, how can you nurture your own growth mindset? Embrace challenges. See difficult tasks not as threats, but as chances to stretch yourself and learn. Persist through obstacles. Don't give up at the first sign of difficulty. Reframe setbacks as part of the journey. View effort as the path to mastery. Understand that sustained effort, not just innate talent, builds skill. Seek and learn from feedback. Even criticism can contain valuable lessons if you're open to it. Learn from the success of others. Find inspiration and strategies in how others have achieved, rather than feeling threatened. Reframe failure. See it as a learning event, not a definition of your abilities. Ask, what can I learn from this? Kevin's journey from retirement to coding his first app is a testament to the power of believing that your mind can always grow stronger, that learning has no age limit. This commitment to continuous growth is profoundly Stoic, and a significant part of growing, of understanding ourselves and the world around us more clearly, involves not just how we process our own thoughts or tackle challenges, but how effectively we engage with the thoughts and perspectives of others. This leads us directly to our final Stoic lesson for clear thinking, the often underestimated power of true listening. Lesson 6. Listen to understand. Stoic wisdom for deeper connections. We've explored a powerful toolkit of Stoic strategies for thinking clearly. The anchoring calm of stillness, the intellectual courage to question our assumptions, the empowering focus on what we control, the liberating peace of simplicity, and the dynamic engine of a growth mindset. Each is a vital component. But there's one more crucial skill, often overshadowed in our noisy world by the urge to speak, to assert, to broadcast our own views. The art of active listening. To think clearly, especially in our interactions with others and in our understanding of complex issues, we must become adept not just at hearing words, but at truly listening to understand. This isn't just about politeness. It's a profound Stoic practice for gaining deeper insights, fostering better relationships, and ultimately, making wiser decisions. In many conversations, what passes for listening is often just waiting for our turn to talk. While the other person is speaking, we're busy formulating our rebuttal, our next brilliant point, or letting our minds wander off to our to-do list or what we're having for dinner. We hear the sounds, but we miss the substance. Active listening, by contrast, demands our full concentration. It means being present with the speaker, striving to grasp not only the explicit message but also the underlying emotions, motivations, and intentions. It's about listening with empathy and a genuine desire to see the world, even momentarily, through their eyes. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher-emperor, offered a Stoic insight that underscores the importance of this deep listening when he observed, "Everything we hear is an opinion, not a fact. Everything we see is a perspective, not the truth." This is a humbling and incredibly useful reminder. When someone speaks, they are sharing their interpretation of events, their personal viewpoint shaped by their unique experiences, beliefs, and biases. If we listen superficially, or if we listen only to find flaws in their argument, we miss the opportunity to understand that perspective. We mistake their opinion for an objective truth, if we agree with it, or dismiss it as simply wrong, if we don't. Active listening allows us to move beyond this binary and explore the nuances of their viewpoint, even if we ultimately disagree with it. Consider Aisha, a community activist in Philadelphia. She's attending a heated town hall meeting about a controversial local development project. The room is divided, emotions are high, and people on both sides are passionately arguing their case. Aisha has strong views, and her initial impulse, like many there, is to jump in to counter opposing arguments, to make sure her voice is heard above the din. However, she makes a conscious decision to practice active listening. When someone from the opposing side takes the microphone, expressing concerns that seem, on the surface, directly counter to Aisha's goals, she doesn't just tune out or mentally prepare her takedown. Instead, she focuses intently. She listens not just to the words, but to the fear behind them. What if this development changes our neighborhood for the worse? The values being expressed, we care about preserving our community's character. The unspoken needs, we want to feel heard and respected in this process. By truly listening, by setting aside her own preconceptions and judgments for a moment, Aisha starts to understand the why behind their position. She recognizes that while their proposed solutions differ, some of their underlying concerns might actually overlap with her own, like a desire for a vibrant, safe community. This deeper understanding, born from active listening, allows her to respond more effectively when it's her turn to speak. Instead of just attacking their points, she can acknowledge their valid concerns, find areas of common ground, and then articulate how her vision for the project might address some of those shared values, perhaps even proposing a compromise that incorporates different perspectives. This approach is far more likely to lead to constructive dialogue and potential solutions than simply shouting past each other. Active listening is a skill that requires conscious effort and practice. It involves several key elements. Full attention. This means minimizing distractions. Put down your phone. Make eye contact. Orient your body towards the speaker. Show them they have your undivided focus. Non-judgmental reception. Try to suspend your own biases and judgments while the other person is speaking. Your goal is to understand their world, not to immediately evaluate it through your own lens. Reflecting and clarifying. Paraphrase what you hear them saying. So, if I understand correctly, you're concerned about X because of Y. Or ask clarifying questions. Could you tell me more about what you mean by Z? This not only ensures you've understood correctly, but also shows the speaker they are being heard. Listening for emotions and unspoken cues. Pay attention to tone of voice, body language, and what's not being said. Sometimes the most important part of the message is conveyed non-verbally or between the lines. Empathy. Try to connect with the speaker's feelings and perspective, even if you don't agree with their conclusions. I can see why you would feel that way can go a long way. The Stoics valued reason and clear judgment, and active listening is a powerful tool for achieving both. By truly hearing others, we gather more comprehensive information, we challenge our own potential biases, and we expose ourselves to different ways of thinking that can refine our own. It helps us to move from a position of, I'm right, you're wrong, to let's explore this together to find the best understanding or solution. Moreover, active listening is fundamental to building strong, trusting relationships. When people feel genuinely heard and understood, they are more likely to be open, honest, and cooperative. It fosters mutual respect and psychological safety, creating an environment where real dialogue and collaboration can occur. Think about your own experiences. How do you feel when someone truly listens to you, without interrupting, without judging, simply trying to understand? It's a powerful connector. In a world increasingly polarized and quick to shout, the Stoic practice of active listening is more vital than ever. It is an act of intellectual humility, recognizing that we don't have all the answers and that every person we encounter has something to teach us, even if it's simply a deeper understanding of a different perspective. It requires patience, it requires setting our ego aside, but the rewards are immeasurable. Greater clarity of thought, improved decision-making, stronger relationships, and a more nuanced and compassionate understanding of the complex human tapestry around us. Aisha's experience at that Philadelphia town hall, where she chose understanding over argument, shows the transformative potential of this skill. It didn't mean abandoning her principles, but it equipped her to advocate for them more effectively and humanely. These 6 Stoic lessons, from finding inner calm to truly listening, when practiced together, form a comprehensive system for navigating the complexities of our modern world with a clearer mind, a more grounded spirit, and a greater capacity for wise action. We've journeyed together through 6 powerful Stoic lessons, ancient wisdom forged in the crucibles of life, yet startlingly relevant for navigating the mental maze of our modern world. From finding your inner anchor in stillness to courageously questioning your assumptions, from mastering your reactions by focusing on what you control to embracing the liberating power of simplicity, from cultivating a resilient growth mindset to unlocking deeper understanding through active listening, each of these principles is a potent tool for your mental arsenal. These aren't just abstract philosophical ideas, they are practical strategies, a roadmap to help you cut through the fog of daily distractions, anxieties, and information overload. They offer a way to not just survive, but to thrive with a clear mind and a grounded spirit. Integrating these practices into your daily life won't just enhance your ability to think clearly, it will fortify your resilience against life's inevitable adversities, allowing you to meet challenges with greater wisdom and composure. The Stoics didn't promise a life free of difficulty, but they offered a path to inner freedom regardless of external circumstance. Before you click away, take a moment to reflect. Did this exploration of Stoic wisdom resonate with you? Did you feel a spark of inspiration, a glimmer of newfound clarity, or perhaps a renewed motivation to take command of your own mind? If so, we'd be incredibly grateful if you'd show your support for the Stoic Viva channel. Please subscribe if you haven't already, hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on future insights, and give this video a thumbs up. Your engagement truly fuels this community. It tells us what content is valuable to you and encourages us to create and share more transformative wisdom. And hey, let's keep this conversation going. The journey to clear thinking isn't a solitary one, it's enriched by shared experiences and collective learning. Drop a comment below. What lesson resonated most with you? How do you plan to apply these Stoic principles in your own life? If you're at a loss for words but felt the impact, simply write, "I think clearly." Your insights, your questions, your personal stories, they all enrich the space, making it a beacon for everyone seeking clarity in a world that often feels clouded by chaos. Remember, the journey to a clearer mind and a wiser life is an ongoing practice, not a one-time event. It's a commitment you make to yourself each day. As you move forward, keep these Stoic lessons close. Revisit them. Practice them. Make them your own. To continue exploring Stoic wisdom and practical philosophy for modern living, be sure to check out one of the videos that will appear on your screen now. Thank you for joining us on this journey. Together, we learn, we grow, and we pave the way for a brighter, more enlightened, and far clearer future. Think clearly, live wisely. Your Stoic journey starts now, or rather, continues with every conscious choice you make.